Good morning on this Monday morning to Annie and Barbara Ward and whoever else comes. Let's set the energy so we're all ready when others do get here. So we're going to do our protective light. Beloved, I am presence bright, round us seal our tubes of light from ascended master flame, called forth now in God's own name. Let it keep our temple free from all discord sent to us. I'm calling forth the violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire, keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame. And then we want to reach out to Lord Gautama Buddha, hair in my mouth, and have that blue flame move up about 6 to 10 inches from the bottom up and surround everyone, protection. So there's only us, and there's light protection. And good morning, Annie, and Barbara Ward, and Mary Ann, and Carol, and Mary Ann. I want you to let me know if you paid for Thursday night, if you want me to return it or hold on to when I do it again. For it will be done. It was just a number of things happened here, and to have two high beings like that, I need some people there to create the energy. So I misread that one. And good morning, Carol. Hope you're feeling good. So, has anyone had any thoughts about anything in our world? And I was just watching Ancient Aliens. All right, thank you, Marianne. I will. And all about how the pyramids are and how they're connected to Orion. And do you ever stop and think of that? I cannot pay for the Babaji discussion. How can I do? Thank you. I don't know, Anik. We'll have to talk about that. I don't know. And good morning, Marby. So, anyway, I thought it was just very fascinating today, there's such a growth between people who were here 40 years ago and people today. And we're talking about really ancient people and how, so many things, more than what the normal person today can think of, exist, and that they were a part of and they could see. It's really mind-boggling when you think of it. And it's all around the world it happened. Has anyone saw that as a very... and I know God is present in these people, and he probably had his way of showing them. But, yeah. Okay. So it just betwixtles my mind, and to think of, for instance, now if you watch Skinwalker, I don't know how many of you do, Sterling says that's a Palladian ship underground. And the material that they found is exactly similar to what we put around our spaceships that we put out in the world. Now, we know the Palladians are here. What is that going to do to the world to know that They see these little ships that come out and around. Well, here they're alive beings. It's going to be quite an open eye, if it isn't already, to people. I work with the Palladians. They're very, very loving people. Nothing to be afraid of. But not everybody will understand that or see that. So I pray a lot for ease in the next years ahead of us, as there's going to be an acceptance of the world and how it is today necessary. It's just so much more than when we grew up, and even before us, when a lot of people grew up. So it's going to call forth your own consciousness being willing to open and understand more, to be open and to imagine these eyeballs in and around and through you, that you can see a more experience of what's true. We've spent a long time with our eyes closed, shielded. Yes, there's those that have their eyes open, but a lot of people are afraid, and we must eliminate fear. I want to get my cards here to give us some thinking. Does anyone else have any thoughts, or do you understand me and what I'm talking about? The world is changing, and we're on a carousel. And I think it's just very exciting for those of us that we're meeting who are capable of being here. So here's Marianne. As our timeline increases, I think of us rising above current violence, which will allow open contact. I pray. Yes, the old earth with twists and turns and anger and hurt is going to just dissipate. And perhaps it will become love and harmony. And let me see. Pick one card for that. A new opening. That's a very powerful image. If it could just only be lifted up and away from us. When one door closes, I am confident another will open, and it will be for my betterment. I accept that life brings challenges and acknowledge the opportunity and learning they present to me. Serenity comes from within. So we must have it be that many of us are holding the opportunity, and we can see that door. It's various times in a meditation that I do, there's a door standing there. And I haven't quite got the answer of what it's for, but maybe it's for this. So here's the second card, affirmation. Look how it kind of puts everything into working. We must think positive. We have to be clear about what we think. You can write it down and go back and continually repeat it. I listen to myself and acknowledge my needs. I assert myself and retain my power. I am brave and gentle. I don't have to be afraid of others. I respect myself and I am respected by others. If you really get that understanding, there is no reason to be afraid, because anything that's not for the highest and best good for you won't even be allowed to be near you. Here's Barbara Ward. Absolutely, we can see the changes happening faster than we can imagine. What are we currently what we are currently seeing is just a breaking and a purging of the old to make room for the new earth. Well, I have to say, when we travel and go up to the Pleiades, there's just love and kindness, different than, I believe, a ship that would come here. And this is what it is. Unconditional love, which is what we all pray for. A majority of the people in our world do believe in space brothers and tired of fear mongering. My heart is free from resentment towards others. I open my eyes of my heart and discover the light and beauty in every being. I am aware that suffering can cause distress and hurt people. I see the pure child in everyone and practice forgiveness. You know, my inner self showed me there was a show we've watched a lot, and there's a person in it I really don't like to see the way she treats people. And I realized I voice it, and I realized I need to now change that and know that she's growing and loving, even though I know it won't change. Maybe whoever it is that was that actress will not act in that way. But we need to all join together, because on many levels, this is what we've all prayed for. That's all of what we've seen ourselves in. Let's see if these cards can show me a future card. Faithfulness. And you know, as these streams of light go out, they're not anything but continual and fulfilling. I commit to my mind, my heart, and will. I am devoted to the needs of my soul. I trust in myself, in God, and the universe. So this is our answer. It is now our business to find it and to allow it to be so. So, you know, Babaji was going to talk about, the title was Personal Love. And what most people, I think, didn't get, it didn't mean the love they sit and hold in their heart about people or themselves. It was a expansion of what love is inside themselves. It's, some of you, I can see your name and also feel this love that as an expansive tool comes and surrounds me. And as you know it, I know it. But there's a gift in discovering that, knowing how to do that. You know, the heart is a very magical tool that we know very little about, even the word love, for God is love. And to be those people who are becoming more light, shifting their consciousness into a higher state, need to have an understanding about personal love. So she wonders how Asha would respond to the amount of fear in our world, about seeing them in our world. Well, I do think the Palladians understand, and that's why they're here and have come earliest. You know, I think there's a lot of Arcturians here, but I think the Palladians are coming because they're the closest like us, if you ever study about it. They have feelings. A lot of things that we have, they do, but they've certainly come to an understanding that you can't achieve what we want by being mean or hateful or nasty or hurting people. So Asha probably, because she's so giving of her love, is hesitant and probably doesn't focus her thought on that. She intends instead to hold her thought that love is throughout the world. And whoever it is that stands before her or within the group before her, she will give all she can to let them have that touch and have that realization. I don't think it's one person that can make a change, a shift. It is going to be a collective of the hearts of the people of light that is going to need to come together and move a mountain, move an earth, however you want to say it. You know, I do know many people in the light from this life and now as other people I've met, and some of them in their journey here have been faced with hard ways and betrayal and not so wonderful things. But I think that's all starting to move. And the phenomenal piece is that we don't have to go places to recognize it, that our own conscious mind has gotten to where it can move out into a different way and be there in the moment and embrace the love. So it was very powerful that Lady Nada came. And I hope everyone grasps that her and her board see a lot and are making a lot of decisions, not like perhaps was once made, but to love them and to show that there is a kinder hand that's reaching out to support and helping them to become who they are meant to be versus punishment. The act of punishment, I believe, is changing in many ways. Good morning, Lauren. Well, you need to say good morning to God. That's a great thing. So I think Asha has a lot to share, and the people who work for her are just so, what is the word I want? They are the physical representation of love. It's not that they have to speak, it emanates from them. And they already know without needing to hear. So all of us have a new place where we can go. All of us. And it's wonderful. Now, the sun today was very bright. And it only showed the main cross. And then when I put glasses on so I could actually look at it, all the different ways were there. So it's intensified what it's shining. So I don't know what you're all seeing from what's happening. But now that the eclipse has happened, there's a greater gold in that sun, and it has a greater reach. You know, if anyone has any kind of thing they want to say, you're welcome to. Oh, my glasses. I just wanted to bring it up so we can all have it in our way of thinking throughout the day. What we look at now is not the way it's going to be. And perhaps we all can imagine it in love and movability and eating and taking care of the form that we're in. But we really don't know what that's going to be like. And for me, I pray that the word war doesn't exist. And that even takes it as far as the war within ourselves. A lot of people are living with an inner war. And it's time to place that all down. And instead to embrace and allow a different type of love, a God's love, one that is never leaves, one that's always existent, and will be there for whatever else you may need in the world. And I pray for that. Does anyone have any other questions or thoughts? If you listen to Ancient Aliens or some of the other shows, it's different than it used to be. For instance, we spent maybe 12 years going out and spending 2 months of every year at Shasta, living day, night, watching the stars. We even have one picture, I don't know if you've all seen, where Jesus came out and a small child stood next to him. I mean, we saw things, felt things. It just wasn't a time when other people could grasp what was going on there for us. Now it's different. And I noticed they're talking about it different, and it's just going to be mobbed. So I'm so grateful that we were given that time to be able to be peaceful and have so much come to us. And even one year, it was so hot, where we were staying didn't have an air conditioner. You got to know that people said this, and someone drove up and had an air conditioner put in the window. There was fires one year. We could look out from where we were, and about 20 feet out was dense smoke. But right around the house where we were, none. We could not smell it. Okay, I understand, Lord. I understand it was an interesting day. But we're going to plan it again. And maybe if the time wasn't right, and because that's going to be a powerful conversation. Also with Metatron, he's the scribe for God. He comes right there with the words of God to speak. I do not think Asha will be leaving our group soon. I think she's purposeful for all of us. And her gentleness. And gentleness is something that you may have already with yourself. And then I could bring up a few words and you could ask yourself, well, am I gentle in that way with myself? I do listen to Sterling weekly, and I know he has a very large audience that is ever increasing. Well, that's good. I watch it. I just happen not to hang on every word. There was a time someone asked him about light language. He goes, no, I've never heard of it. It doesn't exist. And then within a year, of course, there is light language, and he changed his story. So same as with me. You cannot just empower someone's voice. You must use your own intuitiveness And I always ask myself for everything that anyone says, is it a yes or no? And you begin to have an understanding uh, about where you are on that. And I would think that, Marianne, for you, your awareness is getting very strong, a voice that maybe you haven't heard for a while. Yes, because it's been increasing because he's moving to podcast and doing other things. It's all wonderful. Very happy for him. But I need in my consciousness that which God is God's truth. Well, someone just must be cleaning and threw something at my window. I don't know. So there's some that I always listen to. I do not anymore, as to have that clarity. I know for me, it's like my first job is to be in clarity and not have an outer influence, to have the protection and all those things up and around you all the time. When you go to sleep, when you're awake, when you're moving around your home. Okay, I see that there are more and more people open and accepting of extraterrestrials, and that our galactic families will show up soon. Oh yes, it's going to be very soon that they're all coming. And it's a very exciting. That's one of the things when we were at Shasta, Lemuria, we would have those people come up. And one young man, we went to a park, and there was a group of musicians, and he was someone who played the mandolin, and he had friends, and he came up, and white blonde hair, wanted to know who I was, and I told him. He goes, oh, here, his name was Victor. And Carol, who's on here, and I decided he looked exactly like Adama. I don't know if you all know who that is, but and I said to him, how old are you? Or how tall are you? That's what it was. And he just didn't seem to know how to answer either question. So right away, we knew the group was from Lemuria. Because in our world, that would be a young man's first thing he knew is how he's growing and how tall he would be. And he goes, oh, you're all going to come listen to us at the end, right? Oh, yeah, we'll all come back. And there was maybe 10 of us or whatever. So that year we go back on the day he said, and we were kicked out by the people overseeing. He goes, I don't know why Victor asked you to come. It's not for people. So we also knew that that was different and strange. So then we go back the next year, go to the same park, and there he is, away from across. Now you imagine a high school student remembering my name, Mother TheoSophia. He goes, Mother TheoSophia, hello. I know how tall I am today. Weird. And Carol and I looked at each other, and right away, we talked for a few minutes with him, and he went over on a bench and went into prayer. And we could just feel that he was checking in with his dad, that he had corrected that error so that, we weren't thinking like we were thinking. But yeah, those people are there, and they're very tall, usually very blonde. And you go to buy something in the store, and there's, someone like that standing right next to you. We loved being there. Every night we saw the stars. The one night Jesus came, we did see a older looking, you wait for the UFOs to come. This one looked like a golden cage that was from the hierarchy, came down, and I'm dead serious. We saw it. All of us saw it. So it was a golden UFO from years ago. We were there with Saint Germain and Portia. There was a whole group of us there. It was the man that was George Washington, who wrote Saint Germain's work. He was there. DK's person who is in human life, like us, was there. It was a time when beings who have taken and discovered that energy within them, they were all meeting. Very, very powerful experience. Certainly, Scott Huckabee was there. We became best friends because he holds the energy of Jesus. And he sings and plays, and all your heart wants to do is sing and expand and spend every minute hearing what he's got to say. We were there during a bad storm. He happened to be at our house. Other people were. And everywhere in Shasta, the electricity went out, except for our house. So Scott and I walked outside, grabbed our hands and put them up, and there were fireworks coming out of Shasta Mountain. That wasn't done by anyone but our God experience. So, magical. But what I'm trying to say here today is that kind of magic is going to become more normal. And yes, Barbara, let me see where I stopped listening here. Yeah, okay, Lauren. Yeah, they're trying to talk to you, Lauren. Barbara Ward says, I'm also praying that the word and concept of war is removed from our consciousness. If we can only understand that the word war means that and creates that part where we all are trying to heal within ourselves, that's sad and separate. That word is the definition of that. And when we can understand that there's no need to hold that inside ourselves anymore, then we can begin to let it go. Yes, I had UFO bright light hover above my cousin and myself when we were 10 to 12, and it did come down at us, then hovered above tree line and sped off very quickly. Yeah, we're coming to a time where it's very normal. I just wanted to share with you, it's happening. It's happening more and more. Much love to you also, Dr. T. So we're living in a world that's changing. And the big piece is we have to change along with it. We can't think of it as weird. And I know you see Babaji there. And the thing he's going to say to me is, I whisper in the wind. So he wants you to get quiet, request what you need an answer about, and the whisper and the wind will bring it to you. Okay? Yeah. It's simple. It doesn't have to be like we think it has to be good. There's no good or bad. It just is. So they're all available always. It's working on having you have your clarity so that you can hear it, so you can feel it. So I think what I was saying when I got stopped and went somewhere else was, I hope you all do your tube of light every day. And in the beginning, you have to do it a number of times because it tends not to hold itself until you really work with it. Yeah. Love teaching easy. Let go ego. Just be. Yeah. Just be. There was this bench at the bottom of the Mount Shasta Mountain, and all of us would go and we'd sit there. So much information would just pour within us. I don't know how people would go for a day because there's still so much more. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a lot of things are happening now, so we just have to just love. Just love. I was thinking here, in any book I picked up, it talked about love. And where are all of us? We've been about all the rest. Maybe not all of us, not all the time. But there's another depth of love that's going to be emerging. And that's going to also be from you. It's a love inside the consciousness. We can say love, and then we can give empowerment to that love in an awareness of consciousness and feel how it generates a large movement, bubble, whatever you want to give it. But that's the true aliveness of love. That's true. So that was what he was going to discuss. And, he was just became. He wasn't born. And that's what he's here to be for forever, is Master Babaji. And certainly in the beginning, I'm sure it was. Let me see if I can get a word from him. See, he says, I can't say challenging because that's not an aspect of who I am. But observing the world in and as it was, he could say it was a deceiving to the human form. And now I'm starting to see rainbow energy. So the deceiving is going to have to stop. So how you feel about loving the self needs to become from the word love to this loving of consciousness of who you are and within each cell of who you are. And that's when you will become more than a human. Now, those that have been doing the infusions and growing, I would say can probably comprehend what I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't see one. So, Marianne, write for a moment and see if you tell me you understand what I mean. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm understanding your words. But the depth and the description of what love is changing. It's becoming more than what would have been a limited version at some point. And now it's becoming like a family goes to mend itself. That it adds harmony and sharing. But there's a place where love is spoken, and it holds all those other words without having to say them. Yeah. So for those of you who are growing, who isn't everybody, I'm going to encourage you to reach deeper and expand more and see if you can get your own light to begin to be in harmony with that which is. And that's what Asha brings. The Palladians have a gift of that, and it's not that it's stopped. It's continually growing. The Andronomans are beautiful, beautiful people. It's exciting for me to think of the time when we can all talk to all of them and it not be considered anything but all right. And there are those people who do that. Good. Is there more there? Do I need to move it down? Marianne says, yes, I do understand love as expansive, that all our helpers are reminding us of, and yeah. So the love is beyond what we know. And here's another, as we've encouraged to be the change that we want to see, and that is love. You're right. So when you talk about portals, this is a different conflict for me as he spoke about it. And my husband Douglas and I have been working with a group that's held by the Palladians about where, especially all around the world, different portals are. So that eventually you'll move through a portal versus having to fly. And how he described them isn't what we've seen or experienced. So it's all a learning process and finding the correct wording and understanding instead of taking what's told. That's what's going to happen. When you feel it and it's real, then you have a knowing, you see. And it's one step in front of another. So it's more that if his words help people have another level of opening to that it is, that's fine. You know, if we think about all the masters that have made an appearance on this channel, their message is about love and how expansive it is. It's true. It's very true. Yep. It's when, even for myself, if you hear a personal thing, that's a human thing. But to be that channel, it calls for a constant tube of light around you. Being grounded, not being up and out of your body. There's still a lot of people who are been doing this for a long time, but still have an issue about grounding. And that's, for each one, it's different. Don't even want to go there to try to explain it. But if it happens to be you, it's all right. It's a process. You know, we're growing. Douglas and I were in the right spot at the right time, how we met, and then to be able to go to Shasta so much. We talked about it. I guess whatever night Skinwalker was last on, they started to go there, and we were in that cave that they tested. And we just looked at each other. We knew that everywhere we stepped, and Jermaine took us to a place where there had been a crash. And certainly he wasn't supposed to know about it, so he said, but there's a lot everywhere. Oh yeah, it's been a journey. And that's why we'll say now we're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Yeah. And we were talking about it yesterday, and we're like, how did we ever go to Shasta? You're going to want to hear this. Someone called us to come out to their time when they accept the Buddha. It's like in May or something. They wanted us to come and be a part of it. And we realized it was a call from God. We didn't know anybody. But then we met a lot of people. Jermaine and Portia was immediately attracted to us. They ended up coming to where we were and visiting us. So that's how all that began. You never know. Just stay awake. And we had $444. Notice the numbers. And that's how much it took for both of us to get out there. And something had happened to me, and I was in like complete body pain. And when I arrived in Shasta, it all stopped. Did anyone else hear that very low vibrational sound? I don't know if you're talking now or in the world. Might be for you. I don't know. No, I didn't hear anything. I was talking. So, yeah, be awake. Because it's getting closer. They're really real. And most importantly, God is real. I guess you're saying here. Yeah. We always have a tape of the violet flame running in our home. And of course, Doug is from the 12th dimension, which is the violet flame. So we're always very well protected. But these things are very serious and need to be in your awareness, your protection, and understanding that you're a light that needs protection. It's not a bad thing. But because of the holiness on some level that you're holding, it's worth protecting. All right. Any other questions as we're kind of moving along today? So I'll be back tomorrow for messages. And it's a powerful time. If you, just by seeing how the sun is changing, so many things. And we're going to have a new earth. It's going to be here soon. New America, however you want me to say it. And we'll have a whole new perception about people, other people, and most importantly about yourself. It's all coming. Any other questions? And yes, Annick, I will talk to you tomorrow to see how we're going to handle that situation. I'll have to sit with God later and find out. But the second level of infusions are going to start on the 24th. I assume you all got that message. Next Wednesday, not this week. And there's going to be some very intense teachings in that you will be infused with. And as always, it's how you and your consciousness go about embracing that. You know, I even watched a story the other day about the DNA. And we know, I don't know if you all know, we do the DNA some in the infusion, and how they go through and can change things. And I have an appointment with Asha to find out more about that comparatively to what we're doing. So we'll see. No more questions. Many blessings to all of you on this wonderful day. It looks lovely here, but in a couple hours it could rain. Who knows? I don't know what your weather is there. So what'd you all think about the hurricane? Huh? Anybody? How long have I been channeling Asha? Maybe a year. I did the Palladian infusions before that. But to have her like she is now, maybe a year. Why do you have a requirement? Well, Sterling mentioned yesterday that in the Northeast there would be a hurricane. I was quite shocked about that. I don't know about anybody else. So, first thing I did was ask Douglas, because he's the seer, and he did give me a location, so we'll see. Thank you, Mother Maria. Impressions. Don't know what that means, but you're welcome. So what did you think about hearing about a hurricane, Barbara or Marianne? Did you have any insight? You're very welcome, Marianne. See, that was my hope for Thursday night, is that there was going to be a meeting, kind of like we were in my front living room, and a whole bunch of us would be able to talk, but we'd see each other and feel that energy. I will generate it. So join me in that, knowing, because I think that would make such a shift for everybody. For years, when we lived up north, we had that every Wednesday night. People would come, and it's just so powerfully with intention, and how it grows your field. You'll be surprised. So, did Marianne or Barbara answer my question about what you thought about the hurricane that's going to be relatively soon? It sounded like. I haven't heard of one yet, but that was what he said at the end. Maybe he didn't stay till the end. But goodness and wonderfulness and joy and happiness to everybody today. Yeah, we need to not carry around the weight of the world anymore. Let's just send light. How about that? All right, I'll see you tomorrow morning, and we'll do messages with Mother. And very powerful. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, you didn't get that far. You can go back and listen. Said it was, I think it was supposed to be this weekend. I don't know. Bye-bye.